Hello duckies, Andi here, back with another LioranBoard video, and now we're looking at the basics on getting little buttons set up and different little functions. So make sure you have seen my previous video on how to install LioranBoard and get it all connected to OBS so it's all working and ready to go. So you can see that just up here, and make sure you do like the video and also subscribe for any future LioranBoard content. If you do need anything or any specific questions answering, please let me know in the comments below. Let's get on with the show, shall we? Put your rock over the stone. Let's go! Right, so you've just got LioranBoard and you're all pretty excited and you want to take your stream to the next level, but you want to learn the basics first because it is a very complex program. There's so much that you can do with it. Let me take you through it. So this is mine just here. I've got a ton of different decks, and these are basically all different selection of buttons, just like you would have different pages on a stream deck. These are basically different pages on a stream deck. So I've got commands, different things like that. To create a new deck, you press add new deck just here, and it'll add, you can add as many as you want. You can edit the deck by pressing edit, or you can just click on the deck and that'll take you to this, so you can call it anything you want. So I'm going to call it test deck for now. You can also change the grid width, so you can do it, say 10 by 10 if you really wanted to. You can put as many buttons on there as you wish, which is awesome. You can't do that with Elgato. You can't add buttons to a physical thing, and installing this on an Android device means that you can just put as many buttons as you want on any device that you want, which is incredible. I'm just going to hit done for now. Take you through these. You can move the deck up and down, so if you want to rearrange the decks at all, you can remove the deck. That'll delete that deck that's on there, so make sure you don't do that unless you're really sure that that's what you want to do. These are all your connections, which we already spoke about in the previous video. Trigger shortcut. This is basically setting up a hotkey on your keyboard, so you can see if I press Control, Shift, and F1, it will trigger button 18. So each button that you create inside of each deck does have its own ID. So this means I can create macro buttons myself. So if say I've got my stream deck and I want to set up a command on a button on a stream deck, because I haven't got an Android device at the moment, I can hit that button by setting up a hotkey in stream deck, if that makes sense. So as soon as I press Control Shift F1, 18 will trigger, which will be in here somewhere. If I go to one of these, you'll see if I right click on them, you can see the button ID just there, and each one has its own button ID. As you can see, 48, 0, 499, and that's all in there. Installing extensions. We're not going to go too in depth with this, but people can create their own extensions. For instance, Exceldro made me an extension where it would get a Twitch profile picture, because I like to welcome people into the stream, so you can create a welcome message and it will pull their picture and different things like that. So to install, you just press install, select the file that you want, which are usually in the extension just here. If not, you can download some others that are actually on the Discord as well, so make sure you do join the LioranBoard Discord. Active buttons. This will show you all the buttons that you've currently got active at the moment. So with mine, my subs, my VIPs, and my moderators get their own unique command, and they're on a 10-minute cooldown, so their overtime is 10 minutes, and I'll be able to see all the ones that are on here because they're currently cooling down. You can clear the queue and clear the ongoing as well. The options, we already went through that in the previous video, so I'm not going to go into that just now. And about is all about Lioran, so definitely go make sure you support him because he's an incredible guy, and this software is next level. He definitely deserves everything that he gets because he's incredible. So let's go in this blank deck that we've created just here. If we right click on one of these squares, in the recent update for LioranBoard, if yours doesn't look like this, make sure you do get the recent one installed. The link is in the description. You can create a blank button. He's made it a little bit more kind of user friendly. So if you wanted to play some audio, stop audio, record, these are all kind of presets that you want on there, which are great. I use a lot of these, like switching deck, for instance. If you look at my previous decks, each one has two little buttons just here. And they basically, if I right click and press edit switch deck, it goes to the previous deck. So when I'm using that in the either on the Android app or using the actual the deck app on the PC, I'm saying stream deck a lot. It's blowing my mind. I can move between different decks just like that. And if I right click again, you can see you can get it to do things like switch scenes in OBS, changing text sources. So if that's something that you want as a preset, then you can use one of them. I'm just going to show you a blank button for now. I'm just going to call this test button. If I wanted another line on there, I can do a hashtag lol, and that will then do test button and then a break and then lol underneath. So I can change the color of the button if I want to. So I want a nice pink button, or maybe I want this soft purple, just like that. Purple? I don't know. I can't tell colors. Right click again. I can change the text of it or add an image as well to the button if I really wanted to make it stand out a little bit more. So if I jump into here, I don't know, we'll put YouTube logo. It'll add that picture in the background. So you can really customize this to stand out on your board, which is awesome. Easy to do. It doesn't take long. You can increase border sizes as well. So if you want to add border size to it, just like so, it'll make it a bit bigger, which is cool. You can remove the border as well. And then these are all the different things that you can do. You can add stop all sounds. So if I do that, that'll basically tell it if it wants to fade out or something like that. You can put how long you want the fade out to be. So we'll say 500. That'll mute absolutely every sound that is being played by LioranBoard. So I'm just going to remove that. Add a keyboard macro. This is basically creating when we press that, it'll press that button on our keyboard. I know it's kind of a bit confusing that you've got the trigger one shortcut and you've got this as well. So the trigger shortcut is to trigger a button, and then hitting one of these buttons is to trigger something on your keyboard. Okay, so it's so open source that you can do pretty much anything with it. You just tap on the key that you want. If I want L, do the delay. Say if I want Control L to happen, what I'll have to do is press the plus again and hit Control. And now when I press this button inside of the Stream Deck actual app, just here, if I load it up, go to the previous scene, you can see it's not showing up at the moment because I need to hit done, and that'll send it through just here. So now when I'm pressing that, it is actually doing Control and L. Go back into the test board. I'm going to remove that keyboard macro, so you can just hit the trash. On everything you do, make sure you hit done, otherwise it won't save it. So you can see if I press that now, it would still do Control L until I hit done just up here. We can add sound effects as well through LioranBoard, but these need to be OGG files if you're going to be running all your sounds in LioranBoard. I personally put all my sounds inside of OBS and run them all directly from there because I like to just kind of manage it all on my mixer inside of OBS. It's easier to kind of keep track of for me there. You can change the volume and the speed of which it is played as well, and you can add as many as you want. Going to get rid of that again for now. You can add sound modifications, so whether or not you want to change the volume or the speed to something. Lush, easy to do. You can create different buttons, so you can change your speech maybe from your microphone, or on all ongoing sounds, sorry, that are inside LioranBoard, so not the microphone. I was thinking about the other plugin. Ignore what I just said then. That's my bad. So you can change all the sounds. So if you wanted to kind of fast forward the sounds and make them sound a bit funny, you can change the speed just there. I'm just going to change that. I'm going to come back to commands. We've already spoke about add switch deck, so I'm going to press that. You can go to specific deck numbers, so you could create a home screen and do deck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and every time you press one of them, it'll go to that deck, or you can go on previous, next deck, easy as that. You can also add Twitch triggers, which I'm going to come back to as well, and a drag press means that if I just hit done on here, when I press that button, it'll do different things whether or not I drag on it, okay? So whether or not it'll turn up, maybe make a volume slider if you wanted to, or something along those lines, you can do that using the drag press. You can also allow multiple drag press. So that is more if you're using an Android device and using a touch device, so you've got multi-touch on there. These are all do different things. I'm going to now talk about Twitch triggers. So add a Twitch trigger, and you'll be able to see just in here if I press the plus. We can add a bits trigger, sub, gifted sub, point redeem with message, host, raid, chat message, extension trigger. So that's if something's going through the extensions or anything like that. So for instance, if I do bits, if somebody does, we'll say 100 bits, to between 100 and 1000 bits, that will trigger that button automatically because we've connected our Twitch using the transmitter in the previous video. We can also, that's as easy how to make your own kind of Twitch alerts for bits. You just literally do that, and now between 100 bits and 1000 bits, something that you've programmed on that button will automatically happen. We can do that as well for subs as well. If you want it to, like this says here, if you want a sub to just happen on any sub, you'd have to create a new one of these for each one. So a T1, a T2, and then a T3, etc. And that'll add them all up. So anytime a sub happens, that button will automatically trigger. Hit the plus, and that's the same for everything. Point redeem is your channel point system. So if you've kind of set up a channel redeemable for maybe like the cowboy scene that I do, as soon as somebody gets that cowboy scene and buys it with the channel points, it'll automatically trigger that button again. So as you can see, the theme here, these all do what they pretty much say on the tin. Something like chat message, this can be a little bit tricky. You can set it up for whether or not it's case sensitive, whether or not they're first, sub, broadcaster, mod, or VIP. And if they say something like, so I have a lot of my commands like that. So I have an exclamation mark cowboy. So if anybody typed in now exclamation mark cowboy in the chat, it'll trigger that button. But say you have a word of the day, which is something that I'm working on at the moment. So I'm going to call the word of the day magic. So anytime somebody puts in magic without anything else, that button will trigger. But if I put in a star, this is kind of like your wildcard, and a star. This is basically saying it can have anything before magic and anything after magic, and it'll trigger that button. So your star is kind of like your wildcard to say anything, really. Okay, so that is what you put there if you want a blank message. So the way that I've got my cowboy up is Stream Element says, oh, you've successfully redeemed cowboy. So I have, because it could be a different person's name, I have you have successfully like so, and then that will play that automatic trigger from there. Hopefully you got all that. There's so much that you can do with the triggers as well. You can put multiple on there, so it's multiple have got to happen. Add to request queue is on pretty much every single button, and it just stops buttons from being double played all the time. It'll queue them up one after each other. So say if you've got a sub alert, once the sub's complete, rather than it restarting and not finishing the button, it'll queue them all up after each other. It's quite handy to leave on sometimes. And then last but not least, let's look at commands. This is where the most of your kind of effort is going to go in. This is where you build all your commands and different functions. If I hit the plus, you'll see this list here. There's absolutely tons of different commands that you can do on there. And if you don't do programming, I mean, I'm not a programmer, but it's taken me a little while to get my head around it. But as soon as you start understanding it, it becomes a little bit easier. You can also press help, and that will bring up Lioran's trusty little guide. As you can see, I've definitely used it before when I'm working stuff out. You can hit source motion and it'll tell you exactly resize the source from size A to size B, and it'll tell you exactly what each of these things mean in the fields just there. So if I do scene switch, for instance, that is pretty basic. I can see all my scenes that is pulling in from OBS WebSocket. I can also do change the transition. So if I want to make a different transition for if I'm playing a certain bit of my stream, but I want a different transition for the minute before it switches, I can do that just there, and they can remove that transition as well. It's pretty cool that you can implement different things and stack as many of these commands in together. I'm not going to go too in deep with all these commands. I'm kind of going to do different videos for them because I'll be here all day. But just play around with them and kind of have a little bit of fun. Read the guides as well, and it will kind of take you through different things like that. So if I want to do a basic one here, I'll do a scene switch, and I want it to go to the start streaming, stream starting, and then I could add another command on there. The delay at the end is whether or not you want it to be instant or how many milliseconds of delay you want it to have. So I know on that scene I've got a few different videos, so I'm just going to mute the audio for now on there. you can see I've got a couple of different videos. I've got this one, and I've also got this one just here, which will take a second to load up. I'm going to mute as well. You can see I swap between these two intros, so depending on what stream I'm doing. So if I go back in here and I want to turn the stream talk intro on, I can then go to source change visibility, go to the scene, which if I click on that, I can go down to, I can even type search the stream starting just there, and the item that I want to turn on is the intro stream talk. Turn that on, that's true. But then I don't want both videos to be playing at the same time because that would be so loud and annoying. So if I hit the plus again, or I can actually hit copy, which is the scissors, and then paste, I can go to the scene name just here, and I want to turn the starting soon overlay to off, and I want to paste again, and I want to turn the music video off. So I turn the music video to false, and that'll turn on there. You can also toggle it, so every time you press it, it'll just basically toggle that source. Hit done. I'm just going to remove the Twitch trigger that I've got there, otherwise it won't work. Hit done, save that, and now if I go to a different scene, as you can see in my Let's Chat scene, and I move back to the stream starting, you see I've got this video on. If I go back now, use this button that I've just created, it'll switch scene and switch to that video just like so. So that is a cool way that you can kind of start the basics of LioranBoard. You can obviously see how powerful it can be. I'm going to be doing different videos on different little effects that I've created in there, and I'm also going to share the effects, so make sure you do join my Discord in the link below, because I'm going to be adding all my config files on there as well. I better actually just show you where the config files are kept. If you go into your file manager and go to LioranBoard, you'll be able to see all these configs just here. These configs actually just stand for each deck you've got on here. As you can see, I've not got anything on 11. It's not saved it just yet, so it won't be. In fact, it will, because it starts on technically 0. You can see I've got 11 there and 11 here. So that is where the configs are. If I copied and sent that to somebody, they'd get that whole entire deck that I've created just there. Nice and simple. I love what Lioran's done with this, so definitely go and give him a shout out next time he's live on Twitch, or just go and drop a sub to him. He definitely deserves it. Okay, guys, if there's anything you want me to do specifically in LioranBoard, I'm getting quite good at creating stuff in there now, or you want to get some kind of fuel for your stream, come and visit my stream at twitch.tv/AndyLippy, and I'll be able to talk you through different things and kind of, I don't know, maybe inspire you to make something. Okay, guys, make sure you like the video, also subscribe, put your rock over the stone. I'll see you soon.